Hi everybody, this is the Rambling Toffee. I'm Mark. Hope everybody's doing well today. Um, yes, it's been a nice 3 weeks, supposedly on field, as regarding Everton. In if you want to put it that way, having a bit of a break from all the press stress and everything else regarding the team on the field and the performances that we've had over the last, I think, 11 games since we last won a game. And it's been in some senses nice to have that break and recharge ourselves in the sense of the word. But hopefully the players have. Hopefully the players from this break, as we lead up to the game against Bournemouth on Saturday, that the warm over training hopefully helped in any way. I know Nathan Patterson and Sean Dyche had a little to do while there. Obviously, it been picked up. We'll find out in the press conference because it'll always get asked when we lead up to the game on Saturday. What went on really? Because as per usual, it's the usual suspect, the usual journalist. Been given information because it was in a public area in a restaurant, and basically they've had a little bit of a to do. And you know, is that going to affect in any way? My guess, in the real world, in any football aspects, predominantly in competitive football or any kind of competitive sport, training or anything like that, there's always going to be disagreements. There's always going to be issues between players, managers, coaches, and that's gone on for most of time, basically in football or in any kind of sport or any kind of working life. Really, sometimes disagreements happen. You can become physical, or it may not. But that's just the way it is. So there's nothing to it, and we just move on. But yes, so they went out there obviously, and hopefully they'll come back rejuvenated. Hopefully they've talked out what they need to do to get back to winning ways and to start getting results because we need them. We are currently in a situation where obviously today the trial started for the second breach of our PSR, and that we will find out. I think it's the 8th of April. We'll find out if we'll get any kind of point deduction from that, and if we're going to appeal. So it's going to be, well, it's probably a couple of weeks away, I believe. What date are we on today? We're on the 25th, so you're looking around 2 to 3 weeks away when we'll find out, what's going to happen next. Obviously, from the first breach and the appeal, we got 4 points back, and we were able to move a little bit away from the relegation zone, but we're still there. But it's all, forget about PSR breaches, about points deductions and everything else. We need to win football matches. And if you look at the form that we've had over the last, 11 games, we are where we are for a reason. And as much as you can say, oh, our XG's been really fantastic and we're creating opportunities, it doesn't matter. It's a results business, basically, and it's very, very simple. It's a results business. You have to win football matches. If you lose football matches and you continue to lose football matches, you know what's going to happen. And it doesn't matter how many punches they've taken off us or whatever they've done. It doesn't matter. If we played and we kept on winning our football matches, and okay, the breach and the points deduction that we had originally has obviously had an effect on the players, effect obviously on the fans, of course, on the players and the coaches and the manager. Obviously, it's had an effect psychologically there, and obviously, that is on their minds. That's my thinking. Maybe I'm wrong that they are thinking about this, but they are professionals, and you would think your coaching and your management team should be supporting it and taking it away from them and focusing on the business at hand and what you do on the football pitch. And if they are saying it, and I remember a while ago, James Garner said that this points deduction is affecting him. So obviously there is an issue there, but you still you still need to get the points. You still have to go out there and work hard and do your job. Using the points deduction as an excuse sometimes it doesn't wash with me in that instance. When you go on the field of play, you've got 90 minutes or 95 or whatever what amount of time that you get in the game. Your focus is on doing your job. You do it in training day in, day out. You're told what to do. This is what your responsibility is. This is what you have to do. You go out and do that job. Anything outside that is different. It's like in my job, I do my job to the best of my ability. If there's something, if there's, I can understand if there is something going on in the company, that something's going to happen. I'll get worried a little bit about it, but I can't do anything about it. I can't change anything. I can't anything. I just have to move on. I just have to keep on doing my job until such time, we find out more. But in the wonderful world of football, the Premier League and everything else about points deductions, this, that, and the other, we do not know what's going to happen, and that doesn't help. In any other kind of business, you get more clarity, you get understanding what the process is and how things work and how things are happening as regard things. So it gives you kind of reassurances or understanding of what's going on, and you can move on in what your job is. But in football, it's different. And as I mentioned about PSRs, you know, we voted on it in 2013, and basically there was no sanctions policy. There's no guidance there. So these clubs who were around in 2013, Everton included, voted on this without deciding not to have a sanctions policy, not to have a guidance in place, and just did nothing about it and just let it go on and on year in, year out as the Premier League grew and got bigger and better, supposedly, and more money came in, more investment came into the Premier League, and all the clubs who were in the Premier League throughout that period of 10 years got more and more money from TV deals, more and more prize money, and it was like, oh, we don't need, they just forgot about the PSR. They just forgot about it. And that is down to not just the clubs. They should be keep on talking about in their meetings when they meet the Premier League and they meeting to talk and say, we need to do something about these policies, this sanction, the PSR, to make sure that we understand what's going on if we do breach or if something happens. Nothing. That's just mistake. I can't believe that they would not do nothing about it. So it's not just on the clubs to do something about this, it's on the Premier League. Richard Masters, Alison Britton, the people who administer, who regulate the game, who promote the game, they should be on top of the PSR sanctions policy and the guidance to keep on top of it. And if they feel that it's not fit and proper or they need to change it, they need to get in touch with the clubs and say, let's come in, let's sort this out, let's do something to enable it not to get to the stage that we are currently having at this moment in time, where Everton are breaching twice, not Forest are breaching, now Leicester are breaching. It's going to be other clubs are going to end up, breaching as well at some point. And, communication is a wonderful thing, but it just feels like there isn't any. Clarity isn't there. And I'll go on about the takeover in a minute because what's going on with that? But what I mentioned about PSR, and I'm just going to say this, I'm going to get it out there. Simple as this. We breached. We deserve punishment. I think probably 100% of the fan base thinks that. We breached. We deserve punishment. Where and I'll have arguments with anybody regarding this, is that I've always said that the corrupt punishment doesn't fit the crime of what's happened. Yes, we breached. Yes, we deserve some sort of punishment for that breach. But my feeling is this, that through the Premier League and NFL, there's always a way to find a way that you can punish a club without taking points away. Because you can look at the past, you can look what's happened over the last few years. Our net spend is this amount of money. We're one of the, we've not been able to move forward at all. We have to let players go. We have to let our best players go. We've not been able to progress in any form of way on the pitch for the last few years. And you can see that we've been struggling at the bottom, trying to battle our way out of a relegation situation, and it's continuing on. And I will go and say this right now, and you may think, well, look at the squad, it's very small. What would you do? What else would you do? The biggest punishment you can get for the club is a transfer ban for one season, maybe for a transfer ban, and that will have a massive impact. But in what way? Because think of it this way: what that will make it do is this: that we won't be able to go into the market, we will not be able to buy players, we won't be able to do anything, because that's where the issue has come from. Yes, mitigation in the stadium, mitigating other issues have happened as well, which should have been taken into account, but they weren't by the independent commission. But originally, years ago, we were spending on players. But if that is the issue, is because what our spend is and what we were spending at one point in time, then you put a transfer embargo in place, you put a transfer ban. What that then does is, like, Sean Dyche, the manager, Kevin Felwell, right, okay, we can't buy players, but we've got an academy. Now, as much as, and this is where I can say this, Sean Dyche, I said this the other week, Sean Dyche came up about the academy players that they're not good enough, or not ready to be in the first team. That's why he's going after, playing experienced players, playing, those type of players, and not giving young players an opportunity because he just feels they're not ready or some in that sense. But what that means is they have to change that mindset. He'll just have to say, well, we'll just have to give him a chance. Just play him, give him an opportunity. What's it going to do? Because you're going to, Jared Branthwaite is an example here. Yes, we got him from Carlisle, but he went through the system. He went on loan, come back. Look at him now. He's just been called up for England. Should have played the other night. Should have come on, but he didn't. But anyway, he is the future, and we all know where he's going to go. Because our money is the money situation that we're in, we need the money. So when the summer comes along, we're going to get a lot of interest for him, and we're going to have to sell him, and that's just the way it is at this moment in time. But you can see that him at one point, I can remember, when he did play for the first team before he went on loan, he just didn't look the player that, we thought, no, he's not good enough, he's not ready yet. But he's gone off on loan, he's come back, and he's been, well, colossal, and a player that is going to get better and better and better and better as the years go on, and he's just going to have a fantastic career. And we'll get a good, good fee for him, I would think. But there are players there, similar scenario. They may look at that moment in time for the under 23s, playing well, scoring goals, or being very good player and doing really, really well. And Sean Dyche at that moment in time think, we've brought him up to the first team in training. Not yet. We're not ready for it. But if we got a transfer ban on, it might be a different story. And you might give him an opportunity, give him some minutes, give him some opportunities, and then he starts playing well, and the fans like him, and you get behind him, and there's another player that in the future you could sell on and get money for, or you build play. You got to take risks, take gambles, take opportunities. This has been a problem with Sean Dyche all along. He's Mr. Safe. He's Mr. Safety. Doesn't want to take risks. He wants to go with his tried and trusted, the place that he has, and stick with them because they'll get him through. But he needs to take gambles and take risks and try different things, try something. I've done this before in the previous podcast about Sean Dyche and what my feeling is regarding it, about a reset that we have to have in the summer when Takeover, which we'll come to in a minute, and when things are better and we've been given whatever points we've been given, whatever happens. But my feeling is for PSR, and it's going to be phased out anyway. We all know that they're bringing in new rules anyway in the summer supposedly, and We've got an independent regulator going to come into place as well, so we'll see what happens with that. But what my thinking is on the PSR scenario is that you, instead of punishing on field, if it's a sporting advantage, and if you look at Everton at the moment over the last few years, we have to sell our best players, and we have to players left the club without, we couldn't get any fees for other players, and you look at the squad, it's thin, it's small, it's just in a sense, if you take the PSR points, the deduction points away, we would have been mid-table. We would have been a little bit higher up. We might have been all right if we didn't have these deductions and all this hassle going on behind the scenes and everything hassle going on. We might have been all right, but it just proves a point when I mentioned about psychologically players are not. I've got it on their mind when they should be strong enough to be going out on the field and pushing that out their head, pushing it out, pushing it away from them, and focusing on the thing in hand, what they are paid to do, and what they're supposed to be good at doing. And it doesn't matter what points back into. It's not helped, but you know, even if we were mid-table, we could still be in a push. And if you think about the last 11 games, where players have known about the points deduction and have obviously accepted and moved, we've not been getting the performances, we've not getting the results, we're not winning games for the last 11 games. So, for me, it's no longer about the points deductions. It's no longer about that. It's about their performances and what they're doing on the field. They're not performing home or away. They're not putting the performances in to merit a win, merit a performance, to move up the table. And we're in the position we are because if we had got results and wins throughout that 11 games, we would have been further up the table even with a points deduction, and we would have been away from the relegation. We would have been a little bit more easy on the second points deduction, and if it was going to be 1 or 2 points that they're saying, we would have been further up the table. It wouldn't have had any kind of effect on what's going on at the bottom end of the table. But at the moment, you need to win football matches. Simple as that. So, as I mentioned, we've got the Bournemouth game coming up. We need to start winning football matches. Simple as that. And, with the PSR, my feelings, let me know what you think. But I think a transfer ban would be the best punishment you could give because it stops the club spending money that they may not have, and it will live within your means. So that's what is the best way of doing it. You don't get punished on the field in a sense with the points type of deduction, but you get punished in the windows that you can't sign players, you can't bring players in, you can't, so you put that in place. That's the best kind of policy ever. If somebody has taken up a massive big sporting advantage, Man City, as an example, with 115 breaches, you know, there's some that you can give points deduction to. Why? Because they've got so many breaches for so many different things that's happened over the last 10, how many years? 10 years, 11, 12 years? That needs to be investigated. And when's that going to happen? We'll have to wait and see on that. But anyway, so that's my thoughts. I just think, transfer ban is the best way forward. In these cases, when it's like one breach or a breach here or there, and if they find that sporting advantage has not really been taken, in our case, we kind of look at there isn't any kind of sporting advantage because where are we? I mean, if we were second or further in the table, if we were challenging for the title, and the money that we've spent or whatever we've done over the years has, got us to that position, then, I can understand the points deduction. But also the funny story about what I just said there is that if we were up there we'll be making more money. We'll be in Europe. We'll be, you know, we'll be in Europe. We'll be making, um, getting prize money. Our TV money would be more. Our prize money would be more. We'll be in a better financial position that way because we're up there. But because we're right down there, we're getting less of this, less of that money. You're seeing what's happened. You see what's happened. That's why the six are, you know, getting away with it. And even Man City, as I mentioned, getting away with it just seems to, because they're getting the most revenue, they're getting the most money coming in. They're always in Europe. They're always, all the money coming from all different factors, and that's what you see. And we've already discussed the six and the breakaway and everything else. That for I'm still baffled by it. What happened with when they broke away, and of course they all climbed down at the end and they apologised, and of course they negotiated their own punishment with the Premier League, and I just found that, well, I just thought that was the beginning of the way things have gone now. Um, they just think because we need these six clubs, so we'll just give them a little bit of a fine. Don't do it again. Slap them on the wrist and just say don't do it again. Put it out there to the world that this is what's happened. But I was baffled by it, and I'm just still absolutely shocked at the fact that they can sit down at a table with the Premier League and negotiate their own punishment. You wouldn't do that in court of law. You wouldn't do that anywhere really in any form. To go and sit down and go, oh yes, you know, uh, I think our punishment should be this. Oh yeah, we agree with that. And that's another story for another day, which I will talk more about the big pictures here, which is the way football's going and where it's gone, and not just on the Premier League and Everton and the points deductions and all that sort of things, and the takeover and everything that is going on regarding that. Um, but it's the whole English football in general and the way it's going and the way it's being treated. And I will talk about that more probably in my next podcast upcoming. So I'll talk more about that. Plus, of course, Everton have played, so hopefully we'll come away with a win. So I'll discuss further of that. Finally, I'm sorry I rambled on a little bit too long through that, but it's just so much going on. Not just with the points deduction, what it means this, what it means that, what it means for our club, and the way will we get to the end of the season, still in the division? Can we have our last season at Goodison in the Premier League before we move to the new stadium? Is that's one thing, but the biggest thing is the takeover, the club itself, because forget about what division we'll be in, what points deduction we have, doesn't matter, because at the moment we have a takeover which has been dragging on nearly into 8 months, and for me, I've always said all along about these 777 partners that they're not right for this club. They're, they're not right for Everton Football Club. Yes, they're multi-club, but right from the get-go, when they were before they even were announced that Mashiri was going to sell his shares to them, there were even stories before that regarding them that they having court cases, litigations, you know, businesses, losing money and all sorts of things even then. And some of the clubs that they have also having issues as well regarding transferring, bans and other things going on. So it was all this noise flying around with them. So instantly I disliked them. Instantly I thought they're not going to be good for this club. And then when it was announced, I couldn't believe it. I just genuinely thought, oh, why? What are they offering? The first things in my mind, even right back then, was, can they fund Everton Football Club? Can they, continue that funding? Do they have? They may have all the expertise because of other clubs that they've taken on. They can put, they have different networks and everything else, so we get best players or get young players from other clubs that are under their umbrella and all these things that were talked at that point that this is what will happen. But for me, what really irritated me was they just weren't right. Sorry, I'm just losing my words here, but they are not right people. But then as time went on, go on to, for me, you can get all the information, Paul Quinn, you know, knows his stuff and actually in that industry and understands that he's in America. He understands, and we're putting out lots of great articles, great information. Go onto his page about 777 and the issues that they have, not just in football, but in other businesses that they have, and everything about it. They were giving that information so you can understand, the feeling that they shouldn't be at our club. And he was banging the drum, bangs the drum today, and I'm with him. But what's going through my head at the moment is that it's all well and good, 777 partners may not get the approval from the Premier League. What concerns me is that they don't get that approval and they don't move on. Who's there to come in and go, we'll take it over, we'll pay, we'll fund everything, we'll pay off the debts, we'll do all that, we'll make sure the stadium's completed, we'll do all that, and we'll take your 94% off you, Bashiri. There is belief in the media, there is belief, especially in America. Josimar, if you've been on there, read their articles about 777 partners and the investigative work that they've done. Paul, of course, as well. They've said that there is an American investors out there who want to take over the football club, are interested, are waiting. What concerns me is that if they're there, why aren't they banging on the door? Why are they talking to Moshiri? Are they actually talking to him? We don't know. That's the thing. But at the moment, everything's up in the air. If they're there, please make yourself known. You don't have to know what you want to do, what that. You just want to know that you are interested. Because at the moment, you're just like, what are you waiting for? Are you waiting for us to fall into administration and get us on a cheaper and basically take us from there? I don't know. But they just seem to be sitting there. Already been negotiating with Farhad Moshiri, and it's just been ongoing to get an agreement with them because he'll have in the knowledge. This is just my assumption of just me trying to be positive that if the approval is not given and doesn't happen, that Moshiri can say, "Oh yes, this group are interested," and 777 partners. We've now, we've parted ways, and we're now with this group. But we get no clarity, get no communication, get nothing. And what is really getting at the moment is obviously there was a letter that the Premier League sent to, I think it was Everton and Moshiri, that is out there. And in that letter, they are asking 777 partners to pay for, completion stadium, to keep the club running to the end of the season, and to pay MSP, the money that they are owed. That was in this supposed letter. And also the breaking news scenario with that was that this letter, or what was said, is that they give 777 a conditional approval, conditional, conditional. It is conditional approval to take over the football club. So everybody was thinking, "Hey, does that mean that taking over?" But if you read more into this, and you see that was a breaking story. I think was it Saturday. And it was on Sky Sports as well, and it was put out by certain in the media. But have you heard anything since? No, it's gone. And if you listen to Paul Bordiesk, he said what it is. Josimar said what it is. Basically, it's not a condition that oh yes, you're going to take over. These are demands. These are things that you have to do. And what we in is, as I say, 8 months, and we've still not heard anything. No clarity. So today, Fab came out and put a statement out that they have written to Premier League, to 777 partners, Mashiri and the board, obviously Everton as well, asking for clarity, and we shall find out more from whatever they've got back from them on Wednesday, because they're doing a Zoom type thing with which you can register. So if you want to listen or want to listen to that, it's on. I think it's 7 o'clock on Wednesday. If you go on Twitter and follow the Fab on there, you can actually register. You can click on a link and register to actually listen in on it. I will do on Wednesday, so I'll try and take as much information as I possibly can from that, and I'll relay it on Monday in my next podcast. And hopefully, hope is everything. Might hear something um, from Mashiri, from the club, from 777 partners, just or Premier League. I don't know. You know what the Premier League are like. They don't. Will they communicate anything or not? So we'll find out between now and Wednesday. So they are going to put them letters out, or that statement out to everybody on Wednesday as well. So keep an ear on that. So yes, so we're still up in the air as we go in the takeover. The points deduction, as I mentioned, we'll find out more if we get any more in the second breach that we've made. So that'll be interesting. So it's going to be an interesting period of time. But in reality, for me, um, podcasts, for me doing these podcasts, I want to talk about the football. I want to talk about the team, and hopefully soon that'll just be all the thing that we talk about, and that'll be fantastic. Because I'm not a finance guy, I'm not anybody that understands law or legally or any of that stuff. That's not me. I'm a football fan. I care about my football club. I care about the players who play week in, week out, and I just want to get behind them and hopefully see my team move up the table, progress, and get better. That's all I want to see. I've been lucky enough to see the team in the 80s that won the league, and that's what I've been lucky enough to have that time. So that for me is a really good thing for me to have in my memory, in my time. But there's fans out there who have never had those kind of memories, those times where we've been at Wembley and been, going to Wembley for cup finals and being in Europe a lot more. I think if you probably, the last time was obviously under the Moyes era, where we got into Europe a lot, but we just never won any trophies or any kind. But we had a good team in that period of time under Moyes, and we had good teams. And at least we did, according to everybody, we were punched above our weight, but at least we were able to have a team to go out week in, week out and put performances in and give us some joy, basically. And that's what you want, really. But over the last 7, 8 years, it's just been a steady, steady, steady decline in standards. And not just that, I mean, it's been, for me, as a fan who remembers the 80s teams, it's been a steady decline for over 30 years. And seeing this club with such a rich history of success and, Neil status, decent optimum, nothing but the best is good enough. It just doesn't feel like that now. And we're drifting away, and I don't even know if we'll ever be back at the top end of the table again. That's how I feel at this moment in time. I hope I'm wrong. I hope football can be fixed as well, which I'll talk about more in the next podcast. But this podcast, today, the senior team just get worse and worse and worse. Seeing fans like myself, just don't know what to do about it. We can just cheer, we can shout, we can get behind the team as much as we possibly can, but as it comes to take over, or the PSR, the breaches, or anything like that, we can't do anything about it. It's just moving. Somebody else has to make that decision. I know we can go out and then, we can protest and we can do all the things like that, but they just continue on. It's not stopped them giving us points deductions. It's not, yes, we may have got reduced to the breach. We may have got a few points back, but it doesn't change anything. And the independent regulator, will they go so far? Will they change things? Will they do something about it? I don't know, but it's not just about Everton Football Club. It's just about the whole of English football. The game is dying and it needs to be brought back to life because that's where it's going. And, anyway, I'll speak more next week regarding what my feelings are about English football. Obviously, the Everton game against Bournemouth, I'll talk about that game and see how hopefully we'll come away with a win with that one. We need it. And also, we might find out more about the takeover, more about the breach and everything else, and any new news that comes out regarding that. Anyway, on that note, thank you very much for listening again. It's always appreciate your support. Please give me as much feedback as you possibly can. If you disagree with what I think, great. That's what I want. If you agree with what I say, great, even better. But this is just one fan's view on all things Everton. I enjoy talking to you guys out there. I know it's just me. Feels like I'm rambling for about 36 minutes about all the crap that is going on with the club at the moment. But hopefully, I can have some positive stuff to talk about, positive things in the future. I know the stadium is there. I'll just mention that the stadium is still going, getting completed and built. There's a positive there. I'll talk about that at some point as well. So there is positives out there, but at the moment it's just like never-ending story. Really, it's negative upon negative upon negative, and there's no light at the end of that tunnel. So, on that note, thank you again for listening. Any feedback in the description below, on social media, anywhere you can find me. I'm on YouTube, I'm on Spotify, I'm on Apple Podcasts, I'm everywhere. Just give me what you think. What you think of my opinion. What you think. The future of the club. What do you think is going to happen? Let me know. Anyway, on that note, that's me, Mark, the Rambling Toffee. I'll be speaking again next Monday. On that note, thank you, take care, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.